In 3, 2, 1.
John, are we live?
We are, sir.
What's going on, buddy?
Not too much, man. How are you?
I'm good. It's cold in here. You're
It's a little
freezing
chilly.
me.
A little chilly. It'll warm up.
So John and I announce this at every show so our guests know, we do shout-outs at the beginning of our shows. And John always 1, 2, 3, 4 ups me. So I'm sure he's got some shout-outs to make my shout-outs look bad. But I have a good one today, so you better have come prepared. Let's hear them.
Oh, man, that sounds like a challenge. All right, let's see what we got. I'm a big one for first responders.
By the way, it's usually saving kittens, saving babies, and I can never one-up it. It's something
It
always
is.
along the lines of like saving somebody. So one-up me away.
It's first responders. They're always top of my list. And there was a horrific situation in Pittsburgh. There were some police officers that stopped all of that. There were some people that were gravely injured on the force, and my thoughts go out to them and everybody who was a victim, of course. So shout out to the officers. Speaking of officers, my sister was an officer for 22 years. She's retired, living the good life, but she's got a birthday coming up Friday. So happy birthday, Diane, and I will see you Friday night for a big celebration. I think that's it. Oh, there's also real quick. It's not really a shout out. It's sort of a promo. There is an event that I'm going to tomorrow night at Bottle Blonde. Let's see. I believe I've got a graphic here. It is a Day of the Dead networking event, and it's being hosted by our friend Sherry Duffy, and it is being sponsored in part by our friends at Pandemonium, which we all love. I'm putting up right now a promo code on the screen so that you can go there, ladiesnightchicago.eventbrite.com, use promo code Wheelhouse, and get a free ticket. 2 hours, open bar, 6 to 8 with 20 different brands. So it's going to be a good time. Pandemonium, I'll see you there tomorrow. Sherry, see you tomorrow. Mo's busy doing other important stuff, but I'll be there representing Wheelhouse.
Well, great. You one-up me, and you gave a promo for free liquor, so I'm fucked. No, I agree with your shout-out on the first responders, and that's a cool event. Sherry and Pandemonium are awesome. My only shout-out was because I'm leaving town next week for Lawrence, our past guest's wedding.
Yes.
I was going to give him a shout-out because he's getting married next week in Tahiti. Lawrence has been a guest of the show a couple times, and he's a big supporter of the show, so shout-out to him because he's getting married. But once again, I've been 1, 2, 3 upped by you.
No, but Lawrence deserves big shout-outs and much happiness. He's a good dude. I know you guys have been friends for a long time, so I wasn't invited. But that's all right.
I still need a +1.
Yeah, I'll just pack my bag and jump to, Tahiti, right?
Tahiti, yeah.
I don't know if
Southwest...
Southwest...
it's actually Moorea. So this is not really a shout-out to him. He's making us fly to Tahiti and then take a shuttle ferry to Moorea, which is like a little island.
Oh.
So we're actually on the island of Moorea.
Is this the geography lesson portion of Wheelhouse?
It is. And by the way, it's in the middle of nowhere. So my buddies make fun of me because I bought a satellite phone.
Oh, come on.
Literally,
really?
I have to work. Like if my phone's not working out there, I'm screwed. But I'm only giving a couple people the number to my satellite phone. It's also kind of
I'll put a graphic up.
I'm a toy guy.
I know.
So I literally have a satellite phone now.
You just want to look important. That's all. Walking around.
I swear I'm just going to walk around with my big ass satellite phone in my hand, even when I have full service out there. Amazon Prime's supposed to deliver it today.
Well,
excited.
I can't wait to see it. Take a picture of it. Give me the number. I'll give you a call.
My buddies were making fun of me for it, but I said, listen, if we're off fishing or we are scuba diving and shit hits the fan and your phones don't work, I'm going to laugh at all of you because I'll be the only one that's got a phone that actually works.
Okay. Let us all know. When you get back,
yeah,
we'll have a conversation on how that all worked itself out. I want to see it.
Well, I'm excited for today's show because we got Ryan Marx. He's the owner-operator of the VIG Chicago, Whale Chicago, which is a new venture coming up. He's got a couple other new ventures. Hopefully he'll share some of them with us. Legacy Hospitality. He's here to discuss everything from his background, his businesses, but even more importantly, he's got an event coming up on November 5th. It's called Herd. It's being held to bring awareness and benefit mental health in the hospitality industry. I'm pretty excited to talk about that because mental health is a topic not a lot of people like to approach, but it's also a topic that's extremely important. We're going to talk about it in general and then in the hospitality industry. So I'm going to thank Ryan for coming on, and then I'm going to have him tell you guys what Herd's about because he's going to do a much better job than I am.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I agree with you. You know, it's an issue that is difficult to talk about, and it's a sensitive subject, but it's definitely affecting us more and more these days. Really, the event kind of came about by the passing of Anthony Bourdain, and my sous chef came to me and he said, "This has really touched me, and I want to do something about it." His name's Jacob Funk. He's a great young chef, and I said, you know, I support you. Whatever you want to do, let's put it together, and you know, I'll support you through the process. And he's really kind of taken it and ran with it, along with our events coordinator Samantha Nam and my business partner Nicholas Philemon, and they put together just a tremendous event. So it's the first time we've ever closed to the public. It's called Herd. So Herd in the hospitality industry is basically like an audible acknowledgement. So you say, you know, if I'm like, hey, pass me that, it's like heard, like I heard you.
Okay.
So it's a quick way in and out of saying that we understood each other.
Yep.
So that was perfect with the name of the event because this topic needs to be discussed. It needs to be heard. And so it ended up being a perfect name, and they did a great job with it, and then paired with Hope for the Day, which is a great organization that is suicide prevention and also awareness to mental health. Specifically in the hospitality industry, it hits us pretty hard. It hits chefs really hard. It hits managers really hard. We go in dramatic swings of immediate satisfaction all throughout our days. I mean, my job is to throw a party for a living, and I do it every day. So I go from party to the next 10 minutes you're at home by yourself alone, and it's like, whoa, your mind's still racing, everything's still going on. And so there's a lot of challenges that come along with that. There's an unwinding period that has to happen when you leave that type of environment. And what's there to unwind with? It's all around you is alcohol and food and more partying. And so it can become a slippery slope very quickly to kind of create, you know, a waterfall effect of slipping into some unhealthy habits. So we're real excited to kind of bring some conversation around discussing the topic and bringing some awareness to it. We're very fortunate that a guy I've looked up to for almost my entire career, Kevin Boehm, is going to be our keynote speaker, who's co-owner of Boca Restaurant Groups. He's an extremely talented guy, and he's been doing a lot of talking points around mental health awareness in the industry and with his group. And so we're very pleased to have him and excited for the event. And Jacob's put together an incredible Southern-style meal. He actually just cooked on WGN this morning, and I ran in after the cameras cut and stole the fried chicken and ate it. I'm from the South as well, so I gotta eat my fried chicken at least once a day. But really excited for it. It's gonna be a great event. So it's Monday from 7 to 9. We've got information on our website, thevigchicago.com, and then we also have same promo code Wheelhouse, which will get you $30 off the ticket. So really excited for it. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate that, and kudos to you for taking the obviously the important topic that was very important to your chef, and then turning it into something that's bringing awareness to the topic in your industry. Because until we spoke off air, I had never really started to think about how dramatically somebody who works in the industry, and I have friends that work in the industry, and obviously know their hours and the lack of consistency in the way they do things sometimes could really be a stressor. But I never thought about it to the level of it bringing such aggressive swings in mental health. And Anthony Bourdain, bringing that up as very, very tragic. He actually came to our jiu-jitsu school a couple years back because he's a big jiu-jitsu guy. And, you look at a guy like that outwardly, And you're like, wow, he's got this amazing life, and he's having a lot of fun.
It's everybody's dream job, right?
Everybody's dream job, and he when everybody met him, he's such a positive, outwardly guy, and you don't realize when he goes home, when he's got to just kind of unwind from that, what is he dealing with? So it's fascinating that you guys have targeted this in, not fascinating so much, but impressive that you're targeting it in your industry, and one that probably really needs it, but people probably don't focus there.
Well, it's tough to talk about, and that's why I give Jacob, our sous chef, a lot of credit in approaching me and discussing it with me. And it's something I've struggled with my entire career, and a lot of us do, and we internalize it, right? And so it is, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when we opened up, that it's difficult to approach it. And so it's kind of one of those things that once we get it out there, then we can all kind of start sharing and talk about it and the things that we do. But I mean, the hours are just, especially when you're a younger manager and you're working your way up, I mean, I moved all over the country by myself. I mean, literally you would have 2 days to be in a new restaurant, and you don't know anybody, it's finding everything new. I mean, what's the first thing you do besides, finding a dry cleaner to press your chef coat, is you find your bar,
right? Yeah.
It's like
get to know people.
Yeah. So that you can unwind after, a 15, 16-hour shift. And, so it's, not on long hours, awkward hours. I mean, I was living in Cleveland for a little bit, and I would close down the restaurant, get out there at 1, and then have to be back in the morning at 5 to open up the kitchen. And then you would close some nights, open other nights, and so there was no consistency. Yeah. And it's difficult. I love my job, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But it has its challenges in weighing on you, and you're working when everybody else is playing.
Right.
So, on a Saturday night, I'm seeing everybody having a great time, and I'm going, I'm at work. But then I get to play when everybody else works. So Tuesday, when you guys are all working, I'm having a great time, and I don't have to. Y'all aren't in my way.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy when you put it that way, because when you do go out, you think to yourself, wow, this is a happy environment. You're having fun. So your assumption is, okay, the people who are here too are part of this cool, happy environment. And it might be a cool, great environment, but they are working, and that lack of consistency and the lack of the long hours, the strange hours sometimes, where, your sphere of influence, your friends, you might be working and they want to go out and enjoy themselves. You don't get the opportunity to spend that time with them, because the rest of the time you want to spend with them, you're stuck. They're stuck at work, and you have free time. It's an industry where I can now see, after we spoke about it, how this would be a very beneficial thing to bring awareness to, because, and I'm guessing a lot of people, they work in the industry, like you said, they go home, and then they don't have somebody to bounce that off of because their friends are at work. They don't want to bug them. So they internalize it a lot. So kudos to you guys again.
Or our friends are in the industry too.
Right.
And they're off drinking, or they're working the opposite schedule we are.
Exactly.
So no, it's something I'm really proud of my team for bringing the light to this and doing an event to bring some awareness to it. So.
And Hope for Day, I hope for the day. I took a look at, their site. They're doing some amazing stuff. They had a statistic, and I'll read it because I don't want to butcher it. It said 1 in 4 people report a mental health crisis in their life. Globally, over 800,000 suicides are reported each year, with exponentially more going unreported. In America alone, over 121 individuals complete suicide on a daily basis. That's a staggering number. You're talking about basically 1 million people every single year around the world. And I think it's probably getting worse because it's a difficult topic to talk about, except for guys like you and your team who are actually trying to take it head on and make it better. That's staggering. I read it because I wanted to get the facts right, and I was like, holy smokes. I obviously knew it was getting worse. You hear about it on TV, but I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary that we're losing really wonderful people due to something that, when we look at it, it's on the surface is like, well, just be better. Just don't think that way. It's like, it seems so simple, but there's so many layers, and it's such a difficult topic to crack. And sometimes it just starts around conversation.
Yeah. And I think Bourdain, again, he's not the only guy who's done it, but you look at him, and we all envied his life. You travel the world, you get to see everything. You're a famous guy, you're loved, you get to do what you love. Mm-hmm. But when he goes home, it could be a completely different scenario. So again, kudos to you guys on taking that head on. And for anybody listening, sounds like it's going to be an incredible event with amazing food, great speakers, and obviously your attendance goes to an incredible cause. So November 5th, right?
Yeah, it's this coming Monday, first time ever shutting down to the public. So we figured this was a big, important one, and we're going to do, any fundraiser we've done in the past, we've kind of done it in the back or done it in tandem with opening for service. And we said this one needs our full attention.
Yeah, so if you were thinking of going there for food, go someplace else that he is a owner, operator of. Changing gears a little bit, and we'll come back.
We'll have food at the event. There'll definitely be wonderful food at the event. So buy a ticket and come.
Exactly. Buy a ticket and come. See, I butchered that.
There you go.
He's the better sales guy than I am. Buy a ticket and come.
If you're looking for great food, buy a ticket and come.
Yeah. It's, incredible cause. And tickets still available. John, I think you are, and I can sometimes see our live feed. You are putting the site up. And
yes, absolutely.
What we'll do after we're done here is we'll share the link as well in the comment section.
Yeah, sure.
So anybody watching, you can just kind of click on it.
We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's an incredible cause. And again, even me who has a lot of friends in the industry, I sometimes take for granted how difficult their hours and the stresses that they take on are. It's almost like, you talk about entrepreneurs, and you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, and as am I, and so is John. We have our stresses because of the lack of consistency, but sometimes people don't realize you don't only have to be an entrepreneur to have a lack of consistency, weird hours, and tons of stress. There's other areas of the world that, and the work world, that have that as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotions that go on in one shift, and it's just the high swings of killing it and having a great event, and then 5 minutes later you butcher somebody's order, and then you have somebody calling and screaming because they didn't like something happened, or so there's a lot of emotions that swing up and down. It's just like this pendulum. So
I just it's funny enough. I was talking about this over the weekend with a friend of mine, and we ate something, and the order was all messed up, but I never complain. I just kind of take my food and I'm like, hey, listen, they're serving a lot of people. This sort of thing happens. So I'm like, no, my food's good. I'll eat anything that's not peanut butter. So for me, it doesn't matter. I just don't like peanut butter.
What are you, communist?
Yeah, it's crazy. I like peanuts, but not peanut butter. Crazy story. I feel like because I like peanuts, not peanut butter, I was traumatized by my kindergarten teacher because she made me have ants on a log when I was a kid. And it's celery and peanut butter. And I didn't want to have it, and she forced me to have it. And I think since then,
you just don't like being told what to do. It
has
nothing to do with peanut butter.
Yeah, you told me you got to eat the steak. I'll be like, I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
But barring that, I'll eat anything else. And I just didn't complain, and my friend didn't either. And I had not had dinner with him or a late lunch ever. And we were just getting together and eating, and he didn't either. And his was kind of messed up too. And we talked about this. We said, we just don't complain that much at restaurants. But there are some people where their order could be right and the temperature's just a little bit wrong, and they're just up in fucking arms about it. And the staff has to deal with that. And I'm sure half the time the staff wants to be like, hey, asshole, it's not that big of a deal. But they have to swallow their pride and, be kind to the person. And that adds up over a long period of time.
Yeah, if you have a rough one and you've made a lot of mistakes, and you have bad days, you have a lot of people coming at you at one time. It's your manager, it's your boss. It's sometimes it's the employees coming at me. I make the wrong decision as a boss, so I feel terrible about a decision that I made, and then I piss off a table, and now they're mad, and you go home and you're like, God, 20 people hate me today.
Yeah, some asshole writes a Yelp review that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you're just like, God damn it.
Well, if you ever want to see my Yelp reviews, I'm somewhat famous for my responses to people.
Really?
So, yes.
You're one of the good responders.
Yelp needs to be used for the positives, and
yeah.
If you'd like to share something with me where we need to work on it, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to converse with you about it. But, if you're going to complain and make things up, then I'll put you in your place.
Oh, I love that. I love it. Because we've talked about this a couple times on the show. I hate Yelp. Yelp, please don't go to my company pages and filter out all my good reviews.
They control the world, so
they
don't
do.
say anything.
So I had a client of mine who used to have a med spa. And they had an angry old employee go and write a bunch of bullshit reviews. And they were selling on Groupon, and their Yelp rating was pretty high. Yelp magically filtered out a lot of good reviews, left a lot of bad reviews, and their Yelp rating dropped. And then Groupon called them and said, we can't have this. We can't have somebody who's got such a low rating. We're going to have to drop you. So my law firm got a call, and they're like, what do we do? And Yelp called them like a week or 2 weeks. If anyone of my friends works for Yelp right now, don't fucking freak out. I think
I'm not condoning what he's saying right
yeah,
now.
he's like, I love Yelp.
I love
Yelp
the
and
people who work
Groupon.
for Yelp.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Just the users sometimes I don't like.
Yeah, the users. So they say, hey, listen, if you pay a little bit more, we can't control the reviews that go up, but we'll your algorithms change or whatever happens. So I thought, this is my opinion, no one else's, that's a little bit of extortion. So I reached out to Yelp Legal, and I sent them a demand letter. They ignored me for about a month, and I shit you not, I get a call from a San Francisco number, and I pick it up, and they're like, "Hi, this is Yelp Legal, and good luck suing us. You're never gonna win. Google Yelp extortion. You're gonna lose like everybody else." And he goes, "Click," and I'm like, "What?"
Oh,
I'm like,
There's your response.
There's my response. So that's my opinion on them. Long-winded opinion on them.
Ooh-wee.
How did you get into the hospitality business? Was it something you always wanted to do?
No. I needed some money at 14 years old to do whatever 14-year-olds do, and rode a skateboard down to a Taco Bell and lied about my age. Back then, there wasn't a lot of verifications in suburbs outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. And, got a job at Taco Bell, and it just kind of followed me from there. I kind of worked through the fast food scene, and just somewhere along the line, it struck a chord with me. It's something I love to do. I really enjoy the satisfaction that comes from it, and found out I was good at it.
Yeah.
And so I've never had a job outside of the hospitality industry. It's all I've ever done.
So you come with a lot of experience. Was the VIG kind of your first owner-operator?
So I used to be a part owner and the director of operations for Big Onion Tavern Group.
Okay.
That company was kind of loosely started, I think, in 08 or 09 by a couple of gentlemen. I jumped on board in 2010. We had a couple concepts, and then I grew it to 8 concepts with our team there. Wow. I was a partial owner with some sweat equity and in charge of the entire operations. And so it was really learned by fire there. And then got some great experience. I mean, you learn a lot of what to do and what not to do, and was very fortunate for that opportunity. And my time had come to an end with that company, and kind of decided that, it's time for me to make the money for myself now.
Yeah.
And left and spent about a year and a half putting together the concept and the ideas and the team and everything along the lines that goes with it, and did a lot of self-reflecting on all the mistakes I'd made and what kind of boss I wanted to be. And one of the things I really thought about was the employees and the managers and the teams I was going to put together, and what their work week is going to look like and how they're going to be happy at work. And one of the things we do at Legacy Hospitality is we do a 5-day work week, which is really rare. I know people are probably watching going, yeah. I'm like, no, in the hospitality industry, that's extremely rare. And then our managers, it's typically it's a 10-hour shift, which is relatively rare as well. We're usually 11, 12, sometimes 15, 16-hour shifts. And I make sure they're scheduled 2 days off. And then as well, a lot of the times in restaurants, your work is you're on the floor, and then you get done and you've got all this admin work to do.
Yeah.
And then so you got to do that on your day off, and that's what makes your hours go to 15, 16, 17. So at least once a week or once every 2 weeks, I give every one of my managers an office day, so they get to get caught up on life and everything else, so that when they're working and they're on the floor, they can be effective managers and they don't have to worry about all the other stuff. So that was really kind of the goal behind it, and how I really wanted to form a company was really starting with our people. A lot of people talk about having great food, having great service, having a beautiful ambiance. It's all, those things are very, very important, but the most important aspect is the people by far.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure I recruited the best people and I treated them really well. So.
Well, I know for a fact that's very rare in the industry, and it sounds like your leadership of everybody. It sounds like you really put a lot of thought into being an incredible leader. Is that something you've worked on? Because as a business owner, I've been challenged with that, and I feel like I've learned to become a better leader over time. Is that something you focus a lot of attention on, leadership?
That's a huge amount of what I do, and it's challenging because I don't normally view myself that way. My own paradigm of who I am isn't necessarily that way. And so it was a big paradigm shift for myself when I realized, even though I had been a boss for years, going, wait a minute, I'm a boss, and it's like, I'm not in that sense, but I'm somebody's boss. I'm telling them what to do. And it's, kind of when you think about life and the things that affect you, you've got your parents, you've got your deity or your religion or whatever it is that you believe in. And then your boss is up there in the top, 3, 4 of the things you take home with you and you deal with. And I had a big shift in my life going, wait a minute, I'm affecting these people's lives. And I had a great moment when I was transferred from J. Alexander's here in Chicago, and I moved down to open a J. Alexander's in West Palm Beach, Florida. And the staff threw me a party, and it was one of the greatest nights of my life. And one by one, I had employees come up to me and tell me different stories about how I impacted their life in a different scenario that I didn't even realize I had done. And so I'm thinking, what were the other ones too, And so, yeah, to answer your question, it's a huge focus of mine because that's the majority of my job. And I always ask in every interview is, what's the hardest part about being in upper level management? And, the answer for me is the eyes are on you all the time.
Yeah.
And that you're affecting these people's lives. And, you make mistakes, but you want to be able to recover from those and realize that, hey, these people are showing up. They have a choice to work in that venue, and they're showing up and they're working, and you want them to enjoy it. I want work to be an extension of our life and for us to have a great time at work. And we talk about that in the culture of our company. It's called expanding the gray between work and play.
Oh, I like that.
I want people to enjoy coming into work. I want them to look forward to it. I look forward to it. And it stops kind of being work when you're enjoying it a little bit more.
I really love that. That is a great mindset. And I'm sure things like your staff and your management coming to you and saying you've made an impactful change make all those crazy hours so much more worthwhile. And I agree with you. I'm very challenged on feeling like a boss. I don't have an office in my office. I kind of sit out with everybody. And, people tell me all the time, well, this is my boss. I'm like, no, you're my teammate. And I feel like we're probably very much alike in that you have to create an atmosphere, like you said, that people want to come into work, especially because if your staff is happy, they're going to make, the customers happy. And it's a very direct experience. For me, my customers are a little bit removed from me. They're not face-to-face with me all day. Yours in the hospitality industry, they're face-to-face with you guys every single day, which is a challenge. How have you found it to be, and I'm sure I kind of know the answer, I'm bumping and setting this for you, to manage multiple spots at one time? I'm always fascinated because I have friends of mine that have one restaurant and it's hard enough, but you have multiple places that you have to be. How do you find the time to manage that?
You don't sleep a lot. Once again, it goes back to the people, right? And it's the team. I've just been incredibly blessed to have the team that I have and the business partners that I have, and it's really making long-term decisions of how the company is going to grow. I've worked with companies where, when do you grow? Well, when we got a great real estate deal, or when this place went out of business and we bought it, or when this happened and that. When do we grow at Legacy Hospitality? When we have the people in place. Currently, I have 14 managers in one location preparing for another location to open, which probably won't open until middle of March. But those people will be ready to go. I'm not going to have some rinky-dink person that I hired off the street that I hardly even know stepping into a brand new venue trying to figure it out. That money that's invested today will pay itself off 100 times over, and as well in their lifestyle and their enjoyment of what they're doing will pay off because we've set them up properly. So a big answer to your question is how do you do that? It's constantly analyzing how you're doing it and structuring it in a way where people's lives can be lived outside of work, and then we can give the responsibilities to the right players. I read a book by a family friend of ours named John Thedford, and John Thedford wrote a book called Smart Moves, and he's got the most successfully privately held pawn shops in the world, and the guy's just insanely successful. And, up until recently, really, restaurants haven't been viewed as a very glamorous job. And still sometimes it's not. There's no barrier to entry in what we do. You don't need an education to do what we do. And so pawn shops are kind of along those lines, right? It's not a glamorous job to be the GM of a pawn shop necessarily. And he found this niche of going and finding the best managers and putting them in place, paying them what they're worth, and just had incredible results with it. And so really that's kind of what we based legacy hospitality around, was finding the best people, paying them what they're worth, clear-cut directions, and giving them a lifestyle that they can live with. And because of that, they don't have to worry about anything else. When they come to work, they're working. And that's it, because half the time when people go to work these days, you're worrying about the other 50% of everything else that's going on in your company that you're unsure about, that you're nervous about, that the economy or this or that. I give them the stability and the environment where they're happy. And because of that, we can sit and say, okay, who can handle this? Who can handle that? How can we start to remove ourselves a little bit to start looking for real estate or start to grow the company in this aspect? And by no means am I the mastermind behind this. Typically, it's everybody else on the team that comes up with the ideas, and I just go, yeah, that was a good idea. Yeah, go with it.
You're a mastermind on being the quarterback of that team, though, because it's that's a lot of people to manage. It's a lot of personalities to manage. But obviously, you fostered a really awesome working environment where they want to do better for the business, for their colleagues, for you, and that sort of kind of giver's gain. I mean, it seems like everybody's got that cool giver's gain mindset with you guys. What was the name of that book? Because I'm a big reader on leadership.
It's called Smart Moves by John Thedford.
Smart Moves. Okay, I'm going to have to put that in my Audible. Now that I'm flying away next week, I'm trying to compile a couple books because I might have some downtime there, and I'm going to Smart Moves. I'm going to
He's a very successful, great guy, actually. He's called me a couple times personally to congratulate me on the success. Just a great human.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So John is showing me that it's time for our Mortgage Minute. We have one sponsor here at Wheelhouse,
Fantastic.
and it's our very much favorite mortgage broker, Matt Rosen. Thank you very much for Matt. John's going to show you guys a quick clip about Matt, and then we'll get back to Ryan.
Hi, I'm Matt Rosen of Neighborhood Loans, here to share with you today's Mortgage Minute. Know the difference between a simple pre-qualification and a real pre-approval. The initial pre-qualification usually consists of a short conversation where the lender gets basic information and then may or may not even run your credit. A full pre-approval always consists of running your credit and then verifying your information by collecting the income and asset documentation up front. When speaking to a mortgage professional, always make sure that these steps have been taken in order to guarantee a full pre-approval. For more information or to get the process started, please feel free to contact me using the information on the screen. I'm Matt Rosen, and that's today's Mortgage Minute.
Thank you, Matt Rosen of Neighborhood Loans. We love you, buddy. We appreciate everything you do. My clients sure as heck always appreciate you. You're the man. If you guys have any sort of mortgage needs, give Matt Rosen a call. I trust him with all of my business, and so does practically everybody in my real estate office. So give our good buddy Matt a call. Now back to Ryan. Do you like that? I'm smoothing out my, you like that? Do you like that? I'm getting better at the commercial outro intro. So what's fascinating about what you're doing is I always talk about stress levels in my line of work as an entrepreneur. But my real estate stressful, law is stressful. But I feel like just being in the hospitality industry in general is stressful. But you have that stress, and then you have the stress of actually being an entrepreneur too. Do you do anything to manage that stress, like personally, as working out? Is there anything you do to manage it? Because I'm fascinated. It's like you have the double stress.
Yeah. There's a lot of different things you do. I mean, yes, mental health and physical health are a huge part of it, because physical health it just dramatically affects your mental health. So it's extremely important to me to stay physically healthy. My father, who is my biggest mentor and also my business partner, is huge on it. He's actually he does like ninja warrior workouts. He's insane. He's 63, 64, and he can do 1,000 push-ups in a day. The guy is just insane. Yeah, I've witnessed it. Not all at once, but throughout the day.
Yeah.
He read Jesse Itzler's book, Living with a Seal, and ever since then been challenged him. And he does it a couple times a week, actually. But it's a big thing in our family to stay physically healthy. I just ran the Chicago Marathon. Running has been a big part
Good
of.
for you.
My dad was a big runner. I think he ran 7 or 8 marathons in his time. So I'm a big runner. Work out a bunch, yoga, and just recently started doing cryo, which has actually been fantastic as well.
The
freezing, where you freeze yourself.
Is it really that cold?
It's freezing.
It's freezing.
It's
Yeah.
really cold. But I'll do that to recover from workouts, so I get a faster recovery and can get back into work. But I feel like a lot of times, what we do is we're running around so fast and doing all these different things and multitasking that I've found what helps me if I stop for 20 minutes and clear my head. Or I'm also a musician. I'll sit down and play the guitar, play the piano for 10, 20 minutes, and just take my mind off of everything. And then when I get back to the actual work, I'm that much more clear-headed, and I can actually accomplish more than trying to work through that 20 minutes. So sometimes it's just shifting gears a little bit and finding that outlet. And it's different for everybody else. For me, it's always been music.
That's awesome, because time blocking is so important in any sort of entrepreneur lifestyle. But for you guys, your hours are all different, so you got to find that little bit of time wherever you can. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. I'm still fascinated about this 1,000 push-ups in a day, because I used to have my high school push-up record. I broke a world bench press record when I was in high school, so I can do a lot of push-ups. I've never tried 1,000 a day. That is an insane amount, especially for, and I don't want to say somebody in their 60s is old, because your dad's probably on Facebook and he could probably kick my ass. So I definitely don't want to say that. But 1,000 push-ups, even for a teenager, is a lot of push-ups.
Yeah, he'll do them 50 to 60 at a time, and then throughout the day, and then knock them out.
Have you ever tried to match that?
I kind of got into it for a little bit, and then was like, I got shoulder problems. I don't think I can do this.
John, that's our new thing. You got to do 1,000 push-ups a day.
Wait, I have to?
Yeah, you.
How
We're going to have you do it.
How did I get elected?
I don't know. I have a torn pec, so it's on you. One of us has to do the challenge now.
Well, I tell you what, I'll do that if you run the marathon.
No, hell no. I'll do
you
the
go.
push-ups.
So which do you want to do? Exactly.
Congratulations on the marathon.
Thank you.
We had a couple people in our office run it, and I always laugh about the marathon. I have bad knees. I'm making a lot of excuses now, but I do have pretty bad knees. I run every day, so I run typically a 5K every day, or almost every day. But the marathon distance, the first person who ran it fell over and died after they ran the 26.2 miles. Isn't it that they ran 26.2 miles to let people know that there were soldiers invading, and then he fell over and died? So my mindset is I should never run 26.2 miles because the first person who did it died. And
whatever helps you get through that.
Yeah.
Whatever you.
I have a friend of mine that does ultra marathons, and she did a couple 100-mile races, which to me, I just think that's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. It's a big mental game once you get past a certain point. It's all about just controlling your body through your mental awareness of what's going on and the challenges with it. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's with all the swings and everything that we have, staying mentally and physically well is a huge part.
Yeah.
To stay focused in what we do, and it's a challenge in anybody's life. But I'm not saying ours is harder than anybody else's, but we do have those swings that makes it extremely challenging sometimes. And so those are some of the things I do to cope. But it's working out, and sometimes I'll be honest, it's a nice dinner with some great friends and a couple bottles of wine, and that's sometimes that just gets it off your chest, as long as that doesn't become a habit. You know?
Yeah, that'll make it very hard to run hungover and
Right.
do 1,000 push-ups if you're drinking a
Exactly.
couple bottles of wine every night.
Exactly.
No, but I mean, I'm going to give it to you guys. I think it is probably one of the most difficult industries to have to manage your time with. I mean, there might be other people who work a night shift, and I know nurses that work just night shifts, and that's tough because you're working a night shift and you still have that opposite schedule to everybody. Mm-hmm. But the consistency it's more consistent than what you guys are doing. So I do think it's probably one of the most difficult industries to do this in, and I also think it's one of those things where you especially. Like I said, it's doubly difficult for you because you also have to be the entrepreneur. So kudos to you. I read you work with the Chicago Leadership Alliance.
Yeah, so I was one of the founding members. I was actually the last founding member when it was founded 4 years ago by a couple of dear friends of mine. And basically, we're kind of we're a nonprofit that helps other nonprofits. So we're an organization that has several different pillars. One of them, and our strongest one, being philanthropic, as well as we work a little bit on business, social. There's a social aspect to it, and then civic is a huge part of it as well. Sat on the board for a little over 2 years, and just stepped down a couple months ago with the 2 new projects we have coming up with Legacy. But they've done a lot of good, and the group has really made some strides. We actually launched a website, I guess it was a year and a half ago. It's called GoCivicChicago.com, and it links over 15,000 nonprofit and civic organizations in our city. And it is an incredible tool for anybody to use. I do some work down in Haiti, and when I was putting together a fundraiser for my nonprofit, I just searched Haiti on Go Civic Chicago, and it comes up there's 14 different organizations in Chicago that do work there. And so I was able to connect with different individuals and be able to combine our work so that we could have a bigger impact. So it's got that. You can create kind of your own personal page where you can log your hours for how you're volunteering, or if you're sitting around with your significant other on a Saturday because you guys don't work Saturdays, and you want to go volunteer somewhere, and you can say, what's something we can do for, dogs within a 5-mile radius, and it'll show you the different volunteer opportunities. So it's an incredible resource for the city of Chicago, linking all of these nonprofit and civic organizations together. And with that, as we started to do this, we realized, well, to keep this thing going, we need some money,
yeah.
Which is always the barrier, right?
That's why we have commercials in the
right.
middle of the
Exactly, right. So, where does my mind think? Make money off alcohol, which is what I do for a living, and food. And so I reached out to a great guy by the name of Dave Dahl, who's a co-owner of Low Res Brewery out of Pilsen. And if any of you listeners haven't had their beers, they're incredible, and Dave is just a great dude. We worked together and created a Saison and called it Go Civic Chicago Saison. And we did a first run a couple months ago and put it into a bunch of bars here in the city. Dynamic Group picked it up. We had Big Onion Tavern Group pick it up. Four Corners Tavern Group. Happy Camper and Home Slice picked it up. So great guys there. And $1 from every beer went back to help fund the website and keep it going so that we could continue to connect Chicago. We just released our second round and batch, and I'm gonna do a shout out for all the people that are on that list selling the beer. So if you're into Saisons, which this is an excellent one, the Vig obviously is selling it. We've got Happy Camper, Hopsmith, Roots Pizza, Westtown Bakery and Tap, the Metropolitan Club of Chicago, which is about to do their grand reopening, Jerry's Whiskey and Sandwiches, Benchmark, and Porter Kitchen and Deck. All have the Go Civic Saison. If they don't have it starting today, they'll have it within the next week or so. Drink a great beer and give $1 back to connecting all the organizations all over the city.
What a great cause and a great idea. Yeah, go drink some beer. When you're drinking beer, drink that beer so it can go to such an amazing cause. What I love about what you guys did there is, you're right, Chicago is a very giving city, and there's so many different charitable organizations, but you can combine efforts in so many different places. Like you said, in Haiti, you can combine everybody together to have a bigger impact. And obviously you have a very united and similar care and love for what you guys are doing down there, but you can unite via numbers. And I never knew that existed. It's John shaking his head. He didn't either.
No,
What a fascinating idea. And it's something that I'm going to look at. Our office does a Main Street Cares where we look to find things to go sponsor our time with. And we take our agents and we go do that. And I never even knew. And
that's the exact reason it was built. And I've had huge organizations such as Tito's call me and they go, hey, we've got 25. And Tito's, by the way, is a fantastic organization. I don't remember what their bylaws say, but it's something of like 7 or 8 of them or something are in the same city from corporate. They have to do something philanthropic. They have to do something. And just been an incredible company and a great partner of ours. But they call me and go, hey, we got a bunch of corporate coming in town. We got to do something. You're the person to call. And I said, I connected him with Beth Bond, who's the director for Go Civic, and got him hooked up with a great event that we actually ended up hosting at the Vig, where they got to package up a bunch of holiday goodies for some kids that can't afford to have holidays, and it ended up being a great event.
I am going to hook up Laura. Laura, sometimes when she watches this, I end up, she's in my office. She's the head of our marketing department. She sets up all of our events. I'm going to hook her up with you guys if that's okay, because that'll give us the ability. We have about 70 agents in our office, and we always try to find a way to give back, and we never knew that existed. And John, I just saw on my phone you put up the graphic for it. So for those of you listening, we're coming into the holidays. You should always be giving back. You should try to do that throughout the year, but this becomes the time of year where people are really searching to be able to give back, to donate their time, donate their money, their effort somewhere. Check that out, because what a cool thing you're doing for the community.
And if you have a nonprofit or a civic organization and you haven't claimed your space yet, you need to go on and claim your space so that people can find you through there. We've most likely have found you and put a space up for you, but you need to claim it so that you can get the benefits from it.
We have a question. Maggie said, with Go Civic, can you volunteer for something same day?
Yes. Yeah. It will let you know, according to what the parameters are of that organization, that you can which is a great question, because that's a lot of the issues, is that a lot of these volunteer organizations have to go through like a background check, and there's all these other things. So there are opportunities that are same day, that if you're just sitting around your board and you want to go do something positive with your time, you can. So those, to answer your question, yes, those opportunities are on there.
Good for you. There's so much giver's gain in you. I mean, there's so much giving back to the community, and you've fallen in love with Chicago, obviously, because you're not a Chicago native and you've lived in 100 different places. Chicago's home now, huh?
Yeah, I've lived in 9 cities, so yeah, you learn a lot about yourself bouncing around the hospitality industry. Texas, Tennessee, Florida, a little bit in Ohio. But yeah, really the people in Chicago are fantastic people, and I've never experienced the hospitality industry like it is here. We all really work together. We're all friends. I was just having dinner at a friend's restaurant last night, Prosecco, which is amazing. And we work where if I can't handle a party, I'll throw it to him, or I'll call somebody else. And, it's not like we just put that away. We all work together, and it's a huge friendly operation. And it's a family that you can live like a rock star when you don't make any money, because you are in the hospitality industry, and we all take care of each other. It's just really quickly became a family for me here in Chicago, was the restaurant industry and hospitality in general.
Is that different than some other cities?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt it more in Chicago than I felt it in any city. Another city that actually is extremely strong is Las Vegas. You get treated like a rock star if you work in Las Vegas in the industry and go out there, and if you work in the industry outside of there, they still treat you really well. I didn't experience in some of the cities I lived in at all. In fact, I've experienced the opposite in some cities.
It's fascinating to me, because I always talk about the real estate community, and we are very much the same way. I have friends that manage at properties offices, Keller Williams offices, and we're so collaborative, and it's not an aggressive, like, I hate that company, we hate this company. Everybody works together, and we share ideas, we share information, we try to help each other grow. And I'm only used to Chicago because I'm kind of born and raised here, minus a couple years living in Texas when I was a kid. And I just thought that's how it was. But it's fascinating, and also great to know that Chicago is that way and some other places aren't. I wish they were, but it's a big credit to the people in Chicago.
Yeah, I found Chicago just an incredible city from the moment I moved here. It was crazy to go out, and you would become friends with people that were at the bar with you, or you would just randomly meet people and make friends. That just wasn't happening in other cities that I lived in. I ended up being the best man in a wedding at a guy I met at a bar. We ended up being best friends, and it just doesn't happen that way. And so I think sometimes we take that for granted in Chicago, but the people here are amazing. I think there's a little bit of like that Southern hospitality and charm to it, but it's different in the sense that everybody's in Chicago, I feel like, wants to know each other, wants to support each other, and wants to network in a positive way.
A Midwestern big town feel that we have that no other big Midwestern town. I guess we're the biggest Midwestern town. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask a question from our guests, and then John has a question he would like me to ask. Susan said, is the volunteering opportunities just in the city of Chicago, or are there opportunities in the suburbs also?
Yes, it does span a little bit into the suburbs. I don't know how far into the suburbs. That's a great question. But yes, there are opportunities in Chicagoland area.
Wonderful. And this is a question we ask almost all of our guests. Any lessons you've learned, life lessons that you want to give somebody who might just be an entrepreneur, getting into your industry? Any lessons for anybody?
Oof.
Put you on the John put you on the spot.
I did that to you.
That was John doing, not
was
me.
John.
It was
It
John's
was.
question.
You know, as cheesy and as simple as it sounds, the life lessons that I've learned that I've been the most successful with are very simple. Honesty and integrity. Do what you said you were going to do. And then the biggest one really is that when you face and tackle and have the uncomfortable conversations and the failures and the uncomfortable situations, that's when you grow the biggest. And we all put them aside and put them off and kind of, we can be passive aggressive with those things. But, when you call and have that difficult conversation and have that honesty that comes out, that's the biggest growth I've ever had in my career, is getting past those conversations. And, I still fear them and don't look forward to them, and they're the hardest part of our jobs. But that's when I've seen the biggest amount of growth is through having that honest conversation with somebody. And to throw another book out there, there's a book by Kim Scott called Radical Candor, and she talks about being radically candid with people. And of course, you have to have a relationship with people. You can't just go and say what's on your mind at any point in time with no filter. But she talks about creating those relationships and then being honest with somebody and just saying, hey, this is what I'm thinking and this is why.
Yeah.
And when you have that relationship, the person can go, wow, I respect you for telling me that, and not letting me walk around and continue with my zipper down or whatever it may have been. You told me, so I didn't. No one else would tell me. And sometimes it's just something as simple as that, as being radically candid with somebody.
Great advice, and another great book that I'm probably going to check out. A lot of times entrepreneurs come on the show and they give book recommendations that I've already read. That's 2 so far today that I have not read. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate
Have you read
the
Living
advice.
with a Seal?
I have not, but I've read Extreme Ownership by Jocko and them. But Living with a Seal, that's the one you said your dad read. That
Jesse Itzler, yeah.
Okay.
That's a quick read, and it's fun. Laughing out loud, yep.
Okay, I'm going to have to check that one
Yeah.
out. I probably won't do 1,000 push-ups after it, but who knows?
Who knows? Maybe you will.
John
maybe
and I'll
your-
split them, 500, 500.
Yeah, maybe your pec
That's
will get
fair.
better magically.
It's fascinating to me when people take, and I'm going off topic a little bit, take health, and they have that follow them through to kind of their middle ages, and then even after that. It just always seems like those people are the happiest people. And it's going back to that topic of when you take care of your health and you take care of your body as you get older and stresses hit, and even like health stresses hit, you just overcome them faster.
Yeah,
It's,
I mean, when your body, our bodies are amazing machines,
Yeah.
and when we treat them right, I mean, the abilities that we have are just incredible. And so, I think about it sometimes, like, oh, I'm eating Taco Bell for dinner, and then the next morning you're like, oh, or if you eat healthy and drink water and don't have those 3 glasses of wine, how much more productive you can be the next day. It's a direct reflection of what you put in the body, it's what you're going to produce.
It's health equals wealth. I always tell people that, but you start to realize it when you get a little bit older. I mean, when I was,
Yes.
and John's going to be like, of course, I'm a lot older than you guys.
Yes.
But when I was in my 20s, especially in my teens, 20s, I could eat whatever I wanted. I could drink every weekend, and I would lose weight. Now I've been trying to lose some weight. I'm going on vacation next week.
Yeah.
And being recently single, I will go out sometimes on weekends and I'll drink. And if I drink, I always have a crappy meal. And I work my ass off all week long to lose some weight. I wake up Monday morning and I'm the same weight I was the prior Monday because of what I did for 2 days. But you still feel better because you're working out and doing things and take everything with moderation.
Yeah, the older we get, definitely the more challenging
Hard.
it gets. Yeah.
John's like, I know what you guys are talking about. We bust John's chops all the time for
I
being
am-
a little
I
bit
am-
my senior.
I am blazing the trail.
But John actually works out, I think, more than I do.
I got to keep up, man. And not with you. I don't mean with you. I just mean
You do, though.
I'm a regiment guy. Consistency is important. So it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Those are my 4. Okay. So that way, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I know I'm not going to go, and I'm not going to feel bad. But Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, I know that those are my gym days, and there's just no excuse for it. not going. So, it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to go to the gym. I'll go tomorrow. I'll go tomorrow. Shit, I haven't been there in so long. Why go? Just regiment and boom. Keep.
After a while, it becomes an addiction, and you don't feel good unless you are doing it.
Yeah.
Honest to goodness.
Yeah.
What I do to force myself recently, because I'm a late night workout guy. I hate mornings. I've been trying to switch into mornings.
I can't work out at night.
I force myself by doing this. I literally will finish what I'm doing throughout the day. I'll get home. I built a gym in my basement, so I have no damn excuse but to just stumble down some stairs and work out.
Permaseal.
But I got to permaseal the basement.
Permaseal the
Shout out to our guest from last week.
Roy, I hope you're listening.
But I literally take a pre-workout at like 11 p.m. So now I'm wired, and if I don't go work out, I've just completely wasted my life just being wired for no reason.
Right.
So I'll take the pre-workout late at night.
How do you get to sleep?
I fall asleep easy. If I lay down, I'm knocked.